All right, so the first thing that we need to look at is the on-page SEO. And I did a quick search here for tree service in Miami, just random search. Let's say I'm gonna pick the third business on page 2. Just completely random, third business on page 3, 123.com. So let's have a look at this website. All right, and so let's see if their on-page SEO is on point. I'm not gonna even talk about design or anything like that yet. I already noticed a couple of things that they could improve, but let's just look at the design, at the on-page SEO. So you can actually find this out yourself if you're like any tech savvy. I know most others don't, but this is very simple. You just search for a Chrome extension, detailed Chrome extensions, and then you add here, click on Add to Chrome. You add that to your browser, and then you're going to have this little symbol up here, looks like this, right? Like this D, and then you click on there when you're on the website, like on your own maybe to check on it. You click on here, and you're going to see the title tag, the meta description, your URL, and the canonical tag. And so what's most important here is I want to draw your attention to the title tag. The title tag is what populates the title. So if we search again for tree service Miami, and we go to the second page again, we see that what we see here, tree trimming and removal, Miami in South Florida, is exactly the same as this right here, as the title tag. Actually, it is not exactly the same, which is interesting. Usually Google takes the title tag, but for the most part, it is the same. So it's a little bit different, right? 1, 2, 3. So they didn't take the business name here, but usually this is what populates this title right here. And that's also why it shouldn't be longer than 60 characters, because then it's not going to show in full. Like, let's find an example like here. Then you got the ... You don't want that. So no longer than 60 characters. And you're able to see this here. It says 49 characters. It's green, right? So here's the thing. What I see a lot is like this company has it on point, tree service Miami. They want to rank for tree service Miami. That is a primary keyword of this page. And so it should be in the title tag. It should appear somewhere in the title tag, ideally front loaded, and then they have the business name. That's perfect. So they have a good title tag. And then they also, like, a lot of companies don't have this. The way that you change it, you log into inside your website, inside your content management system, if you use WordPress or you use a more simple website builder, and you go to the SEO settings or wherever that lives inside your system. If you're using WordPress or someone else built it, just ask them to change the title tag. Choose something along the lines of tree care in, and then your city that you're in, or like your primary location that you want to rank for. First, ideally, you identify if there's good search volume for that area, so you want to have a look at that too, ideally. But if you're in a city or wherever you are, you want to rank, then it's pretty straightforward. So you say tree service in city, and then pipe symbol or like a dash here, and then your business name. If that's longer than 60 characters, you have to think how you can shorten it. There's different ways to get around that. And then if you can include a so-called power word, even better. For example, tree service in Miami, pipe symbol 1, 2, 3, then another pipe symbol, maybe free estimates would be okay, or I'd rather have something like best quality and prices, or fast and affordable services. Something like that just increases the click-through rate. But this is already going beyond the scope of this video. That's the first thing, is the title tag, the first element of on-page SEO. The second thing is the meta description. Not as important, definitely not. But this should, you don't have to have the primary keyword in here necessarily. It does help, but this doesn't have a major impact on rankings. The title tag does, so you want to have this on point. The next thing that we want to look at is the header tags. So we want to scroll down here and see, okay, it says H1, they have one H1 tag, and they have a couple of H2 tags, H3, and so on. So this looks really good. And 13 images and so on. Word count 1,496. That's good. Now, if we go up here, we click on headings, we're able to see the heading structure of this page. And they've done a good job here. Tree trimming and removal, Miami and South Florida. So they have some relevant keywords in here. I would have probably even repeated the primary keyword and said like tree service in Miami, and then colon maybe like tree trimming and removal services, something along those lines. Now they're already kind of splitting it up and bringing tree trimming and removal into the mix. They can try to rank for that keyword with a separate page, but this is okay. This is totally within the realm of what we want to see. That's a decent. I would give it like an 8 out of 10 H1 tag. Most, like a lot of businesses, they don't even have an H1 tag on their website, on their page, on their homepage. Really detrimental. You're losing out on so much like potential rankings by just not doing that. And also beyond that, we see here they have a decent header structure. They could do a little bit more clean. So they have an H2, then they have 4 H4s. But this is good. So we can see, and we can see this on the page. So we go down here, we see trimming, pruning. It's just that it's formatted correctly from an SEO perspective. And a lot of designers don't have this in mind. They mess this up. It's not on their mind when they design the page. And so you might have a good looking page and you wonder why it's not doing well. That's because your header tags are not formatted correctly. So that's one of the big on-page SEO elements is these header tags, to format them correctly, because it tells Google these are important elements on my page. Please recognize, like, tells Google, okay, please put some more weight on them, or factor this in, basically. It just gives Google a better understanding of your page overall. And then that's the first part of on-page SEO. I'm going to go over the second piece of on-page SEO in a minute, but there's more to it. But those are the three most important things, and I want to leave it at that to not make this video too long and too complicated. But it's pretty simple. I would say, even 8 out of 10 websites I look at have made some sort of mistake here. And this is obviously a little bit of a bigger business. Usually the bigger businesses have some professional working on their website. Even though if I scroll down here, the header is not sticky, they have too much stuff in their top level menus. So I see issues with our site too. I always find some issues, but they have the basic SEO. They have done that well. So at least the on-page. We're going to go further and look at some other stuff here for this site, and we're going to definitely find some issues here. So we got the headings. So again, just to recap, you got the title tag, you got the meta description, and you got the header tags. Focus on that. You do that well, you're probably ahead of 90% of other people, of other tree service websites. So you're doing well. There's a lot more in terms of on-page SEO, and in fact, so let's just look at this real quick. We got the title tag, we got the meta description, the header tags. Then there's the image alt tags. That is, I could look at this if I look at the code here. And okay, so here we got, let's see. Right here, so we got custom logo alt. So this is the image alt text. I'm just showing you that you can also see it in the code of the site if you don't have any tools to track it. But there's ways to also see it. But on the back end of your website where you're doing the adjustments, you're usually able to set an image alt tag. And there's also it's a minor thing, nothing to obsess over. As I said, you focus on the title tag, on the header tags, and you leave this stuff to a professional. Or if you want to take care of this, if you're in WordPress, usually you can get a plugin, an SEO plugin, where you can set these image alt tags. Or if you're working with another software, with another website builder, usually you can also set the image alt text. If you click on the image and you find some option somewhere where it says alt text, and you set that to something relevant, and you choose a good keyword for that, and then you just switch it up across your page, so you don't have the same alt tag like 3 times or whatever. You have different alt tags that make sense contextually for that page. I hope that makes sense. We're getting a bit more into the technicalities here, but the next thing here that I want to share is like schema markup code. Also a bit more technical. I'm gonna skip that here. We can go over that in another video. Maybe then we got the content, and then we get some other stuff too. But the most important thing are these 3 up here. If you got those covered, you're doing pretty well. And then the second thing, so then the second and the third pillar is links, or backlinks also called, and content. So let's go over those as well. So we looked at on-page SEO. Let's look at content next, and then links, because links is the most important thing, and where most people, they're not doing anything, and that's why they don't rank. So the content, let's look at the content for this page, for example. So content is also the images, but most importantly, when we talk about content, usually we mean the text on the page. And what's most important about the text is that it's relevant. And when I say relevant, what I mean is, if someone is searching for tree service Miami, what Google's going to do is going to see, okay, which websites do we have here that are, that are relevant to this search query. So what Google always wants to do is the searcher the most relevant and helpful result. That's all that Google cares about. And so it's going to see, okay, which website is going to be the most relevant result for this search query. And the way that Google determines this, these days, it used to be different. It used to be much more simple. You would slam your keyword 15 times onto the page, and then you'd be ranking, and it was much more simple in that regard. But these days, it works through natural language processing, in short, NLP. And that simply means Google's AI is scanning these pages and understanding them through different terms that are connected, basically, to put it simply. So, for example, it checks your site. Do you talk about certified arborist? That's an NLP keyword. Tree care is one. Then even just something like trained crews could be, or see what else. Tree service for sure. Trimming and pruning, yes. Tree injections. All these words that are kind of related. But then also, how do they relate to tree service Miami? So there might also be some location identifiers. So it becomes a little bit complex here. And the best way to really optimize really well for these types of keywords is, I'm going to show you, is to actually use this software. And I'm going to show which software we use. And, if you really want to do this the best way that you can, that would be the way to do it. But you don't have to. You also just can use some common sense. You can also look at the top 30 pages and just analyze them and kind of see what content they have, and then kind of pull from there. So, but I'm going to show you real quick how you can do this with the software. All right, so here the software is called Rankability. I don't really know of any other software that does it like this one does. It's really works super well. And what this software does, it pulls the top 30 competitor for any given keyword, in this case, emergency tree service. Also, it can pull that localized. So for a specific city that we give to it. In this case, it hasn't. It's just a national query, but they're inventing on this tool pretty quickly. So now you can also do this locally. Before that, we have been adding a local identifier, like emergency tree service Miami in that case. But here, this is just broadly. So I was just trying to see broadly what are usually, generally speaking, the NLP keywords that are most common for the keyword emergency tree service. And what this tool does, it looks at the top 30 pages for this particular keyword, and looks at all these pages. So we got all these pages that are ranking for this keyword. And then it's giving me, based on that, it's looking through all those pages and identifying what are the most common terms that are related to emergency tree service. So you can see right here, the keywords that it's given me: emergency tree service, stump grinding, power lines, cleanup surrounding areas, further damage, even years of experience, tree emergency, hazardous trees. So you see how all these terms kind of relate to the idea of emergency tree service, right? It makes a lot of sense. If all these terms were to be on one page and they would be used in text that is contextually relevant to Miami and to emergency tree service in Miami, then this page would certainly be very relevant for someone searching for emergency tree service Miami, right? And that's how Google understands it too. And so what we then do is we write a human written piece of content, not AI generated. It just works less well. There's a time and place for AI content, but usually we write the text ourselves because it just works way better, or we have a team of writers that does it. So actual real humans that write the content. And then you write a highly relevant piece of content for that query, and then you see how it says your rankability score. So we get up to rankability score of 70 to 100 for this keyword, and see how poorly all these other pages are doing. So there's room to catch up on them. They're not doing great for this keyword. And so that's where we come in, like we just beat them on that front. But that's in terms of content, really just generally speaking, the most relevant result. There's other factors too that play into the like how to rank your content, the uniqueness of it, like, and then also, is it AI or not? I'm not gonna go too much into why AI content can be an issue. It doesn't have to be. But it's just like everybody's pumping out a ton of AI garbage content now. Like everybody can create a piece of content with a click of a button now, and so the search engines are flooded with this crappy content, and so Google recognizes that and oftentimes prefers something that is human written. And it depends on how competitive a specific keyword is, if you can get away with AI content. And also it comes down to, is this AI content still helpful and useful? Most people, unfortunately, don't put in the extra effort to, if they write a piece of AI content, to then go the extra mile and check and modify to see, well, maybe it's AI or it's hybrid written, but it's still useful and relevant. Most content isn't anymore. It's just what I refer to as AI garbage content, which makes it easier for people that actually put in effort. So good thing if you're putting in some effort. Lastly, there's more that goes into content, but that's just a high-level overview, experience and expertise. You actually know what you're writing about. You have an author bio on your page. You have a trustworthy about us page, and it just all kind of comes together. And does your does your professional expertise shine through in the content that you're writing and that is on the page? So whatever you're trying to, whatever you're writing about. And it could be as simple as just, telling, like referring to something in a way that, I can show you a good example here. When we just search for types of tree felling cuts, for example, and we check what are the top pages. Let's maybe check on this one, Wisconsin Master Logger Certification, or I saw one that was really good that I liked. Well, why is this ranking number 4, even though it's like a random PDF? It's because, first of all, it's highly relevant. And then also it's like, this is pure expertise. That's like from the Wisconsin tree felling techniques manual from the Wisconsin Master Logger Certification. So obviously this is like, can really become better in terms of expertise and trustworthiness, right, than this resource. So that's why it's ranking. Just simple example here. I'm going to leave it at that. Don't go into any further depth. And then the last thing that I want to cover is the links. And that's really the most important piece. You can have all the on-page SEO squared away. You can have all the best content of the highest relevance and super unique. And if you don't have any links, and if you're in any somewhat competitive area, you're still not going to rank. Why is that the case? Simply because the way that Google works, like the on-page SEO and content basically tells Google how relevant your content is on your page, and the links tell Google how authoritative and trustworthy it is. There's other on-page signals that tell Google that are also sending trust signals, but the biggest trust signal for Google is if your site and any page on your website is also on a page-by-page basis, right? But it's also your entire site, has the links from other websites that are relevant to what you're doing. Like, for example, you get a link from a random mummy blog, or you get a link from TCIA or ISA. I guess what's more valuable, right? It's pretty it's pretty easy to understand. Like the more traffic this other website gets, the more authoritative it is, meaning how many other sites link to this site, the more valuable the link is going to be for you, and also like how relevant it is. If you get a link from TCI or TCIA or ISA or any other tree service site or tree service blog or anything kind of related to home or garden services, going to be better than getting something from like a blog about electricians and plumbing, or like something just unrelated about cooking or kitchen stuff, whatever it might be. So I want to give you some examples here, and also actually let's just have a look at this site that we were looking at. So I didn't do a content analysis on this site. Looks good, just from just glancing over it. But let's look at the links. So first thing that I can see, I'm pretty impressed. This site is 22,000 like visitors per month. So it's I'm not going to look at from a search terms because this might be bloated from some odd keywords. So it's certainly not all traffic that is people that want an estimate, or they'd be booked out years in advance. But let's just look at the links. So these are the individual referring domains, and then we look at the backlinks. We see 2022 backlinks. Let's just look at the new ones that they got in the last 30 days. And this is a very manual process, and it requires a lot of understanding of how all this kind of SEO stuff works. But just to put it simply, these are all the links. They got 68 links from other websites in the past 30 days, which is a ton. So this tells me this site is very strong and authoritative. Now, there's some links that certainly won't be, like this one, for example, links that won't be that valuable. In fact, most links that your site acquires are not valuable, which is totally normal. Let's see. This one, for example, every site gets some of these. Where to buy H domains and backlinks. So this is basically just people that are trying to get you to buy their services through slamming a crappy backlink onto your site. Nothing that you can do against it. You could disavow it, but that's not a good idea generally. So you see what this is. You see what kind of crap this is. They got like thousands of websites listed literally here, and so somewhere here they also link out to their website, but they didn't ask for this. This Turf Masters, they didn't ask for this link, and that's the thing. That's why it's called off-page SEO. It's called on-page SEO, which is the content also technically is a part of the on-page SEO because it's happening on the page. And then the off-page SEO basically refers to the links, really. It's really, I recently looked into what other off-page signals there are, and there are some, but really it comes down to just, backlinks. And so when we look at this site, makeinindex.com, that's an odd one that I see all over the place all the time as well. And it just, they link out to, you see what this is, page 294 of 460. If I click on any random page, here just for example, and here we got the links that are linking out to all kinds of tree service businesses. So now I'm not sure if this is a link that someone actively bought for these guys. Probably not. Or if this Make an Index site is just, advertising their link building service and slamming on links onto other sites. Nonetheless, they got a lot of links. Let's try and see if we can find a good one here. This is, as I said, like a very manual process, but here, Miami Real Estate, Audrey's Black Book. This seems like a good one. Bad Gateway, okay. Doesn't work. Okay. Let's see if we can find something else that seems to be quality. And also I can sort by DR, by domain rating, which like the strongest domains that the links are coming from. I'm gonna pause for a second here. All right, so I actually found a good one. This is a blog article on positivebloom.com, 20 essential tips for growing vegetables indoors successfully. And somewhere in this blog article, let's see if we can find it, they have a link going out to our guys here at Turf Masters. So let's see if we can find that link. All right. Pruning. Okay. Looks like AI content to me, but that's still fine. But I can't find the link. Normally, maybe it's an image link. Lawn care at tree service. Nope. Reddit. Maybe I guess they have it somewhere underneath the picture, so I might have skipped it. But nonetheless, it's a pretty long post. Okay. All right. So somewhere in this post, there's a link. It's all going out to Reddit. You see underneath here where it says Reddit. So this goes out to Reddit for whatever reason. Well, they reference Reddit here, and this page doesn't work. But there is definitely a link somewhere on this page going out to them, and that will be I'm not going to say it's a good link. It's a decent link. It is somewhat related. It's to tree service, right? It's more landscaping than tree service, really, and more about like sprouting vegetables and stuff. So, yeah. So if you look at it, you see like 68 links, but none of them that good. So they seem to have a ton of volume, but not quality. And it's also another thing, like with backlinks, I'm always quality over quantity. I see it so often that. Another thing is like you want to have editorial backlinks, which are backlinks that are placed inside of blog articles on relevant sites. Those links will stay. If you hire an SEO company and they do link building through editorial backlinks, then that is good, because if for whatever reason you decide to part ways at some point, then those links will stick. However, if your SEO agency builds the links through other ways, like some sketchy ways, there's a lot of sketchy ways to build links that are more harmful than good sometimes, but still those links help your site rank. So any links are better than none. It's kind of strange in that way. But if you decide to cancel the service, maybe, and they take off the links. So if your agency does editorial link building through high quality links, then that's a good sign. They're doing something good for your site. And it's also they're putting in time and effort and money sometimes even to reinvest and make your site stronger by acquiring these links. So I hope this makes sense. Like I could talk about link building for hours, but I want to keep it simple here. This is probably already too technical, but I just want you to understand kind of how all this works together. And so then you got all this working together. Let's recap. You got your on-page SEO on point. You got highly relevant quality content, and then you got strong backlinks from other websites that are relevant to your industry, to tree service. And so when all that comes together, then you're going to rank definitely on the first page if you do it well. And if you do it really well and you outpace your competition, which is also kind of, you just check what your competition is with a tool such as Ahrefs or SEMrush, where you can see these backlinks. You check what backlinks they have, and then it's simple math. What do we need to do in order to outpace them? And then you just got to have a good strategy in place to like do more than they do, and you can outpace them and rank above them. So that's it in a nutshell, and that's how SEO works for tree service. I think I hope I didn't make it too complicated here. I wanted this to be more of a simple explanation. Of course, like if you partner with a professional tree service SEO agency and tree service marketing company, then you're welcome to reach out to us. Tree Service Lisa Limited. I'd be happy to hop on a call with you. Just fill out the application on our site, and then I look forward to hearing from you.